Okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Holy cow. Welcome, 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 welcome. John, Sam, Kevin. Let's see who else. Post comment, please. Let me know you're here, where you're from, what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And going to be an interesting show today, to say the least. It's so interesting that John canceled Bible study. John, do you broadcast or live stream your Bible study? I'd love to tune in sometime. That would be cool. All right. So, yeah, we got lots of moving parts today. Lots of moving parts. Adam is here from the Panhandle of Texas. Welcome. Glad to have you. What's going on in the Panhandle of Texas these days? Panhandle of Texas, that's going to be, yeah, that part, the other part. I'm near the Panhandle of Florida, but it's different. John says that they use Zoom for Bible study. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that way it's just like a group. That's good. I like that idea. That's a good use for Zoom. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Zoom as time goes on. They merged or bought out this other company. I don't remember the name of it, but I think it's something we want to keep an eye on. We might do a show on it. Lots of wind in the Panhandle of Texas. And Stefano is here from Bergamo, Italy. Welcome. Glad to have you. I'm not sure that we've had somebody from Italy that has been in our chat before. So, glad you're here. Welcome. So, not so much wind here today in Fairhope, Alabama. Dave Edwards from SoCal, Lower California. You know what they call this area? LA, Lower Alabama. That's right. And Sweden is back. All right. Didn't even know Sweden had left. Glad you're here. Yeah, vMix 25, you're not supposed to use that for production. Tim Liggins, oh my gosh. Tim Liggins, welcome. Glad to have you. How is your lovely wife? My goodness, you married up. You lucky guy. So we're going to learn lots about vMix 25. Yes. Well, I don't know if you're going to learn it, but we're going to look at it. The learning, my friend, is up to you. Clear Video. He's just over panhandling in Atlanta. Who is Clear Video? Do we know each other? That name doesn't ring a bell. CV, Clear Video. Just panhandling in Atlanta. But glad to have you. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. vMix 25. Yeah, I mean, this is like the first vMix in 100 years, or so it seems. I am giddy with excitement. Rick, welcome. Long time no see. Hope you are well, sir. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy, sweetie. Sorry about the hair. Just too much going on to get things, personal things ready. Like I didn't do any makeup today. I know. You don't have to say it. Didn't really notice. It's okay. I try to get rid of the shiny spots. So, yeah. And I tried to avoid the eye stuff today, but there's just so many things going on in the studio that I couldn't. How do you control a show that has, I've got a big screen there, I've got a good size screen there, I've got another screen there, got another screen there, got another screen there, and then two more back there. Holy cow. What do you know? Yep. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Let's see. How are we doing on time? We have a clock right in front of us. We got 8 minutes. Okay, so we're good. We're good. So here's to being COVID free. Here's to Omicron, which is going to put an end to it all, and have NAB 2022. Yeah. Tim, are you coming over for that? Herman is in the house. Welcome, sir. Man, you are looking great. I saw some pictures of you on Facebook, and whatever it is you're doing, man, keep doing it. Yeah. Social Care Media from Nigeria. Welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to talk about vMix 25 today because, because it's like, what else can you talk about? Contacts might work. Yes. I was a contact wearer for a long, long time. And I finally just went back to glasses because number one, they're more convenient. And number two, it was starting to bother me. Anyway, hugs to all the vMix operators in the Brazilian community. Welcome. Glad to have you guys here. Big vMix users down in Brazil. Yes, indeedy. Glad to have you. Tim says no NAB for us this year. Oh, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I guess international travel is still a little sketchy. So we'll see. Yeah, I've still got Delta owes me for flight to NAB 2 years ago. Take Note Technologies. It's Daniel from South Africa. Daniel, welcome. Glad to have you. Thank you so much for starting the Omicron variant down there in South Africa. They will have an NAB there this year. That's good. From Spain, we have Juanjo. Is that pronounced correctly? Juanjo Crespo. And Tim Trott is here. Well, there you go. Well, doggone. We can just about start. Glad to have you, Tim. We need to do lunch one day. Yep. Living Waters, CVA, Chesapeake, Virginia. Oh, Tim. All right. Very good. I am heading almost up your way next week, heading up to Charlottesville. My mom and my brother live there, but we have a family house on the Chesapeake Bay. So yeah, it's going to be fun to be back in Virginia for a little bit. John says we're looking forward to a meetup of Kevin's new studio in Connecticut if we can travel to the USA. Cool. Well, for anybody in New England, that would be great. In fact, I'd love to come, but I have a conflict on my schedule coming up in 2 weeks, having a little teeny bit of surgery. I'm having my knee replaced. Hope they get the right one this time. No, just teasing. I do hope they get the right one the first time. But it's time. All right, so we got 4.5 minutes left. vMix 25. If you need to get vMix 25, if you want to get vMix 25, you've got 4 minutes. You can get it. No, you can get it anytime you want. But you can go to the vMix forum, forums, plural, forums.vmix.com, go to the general discussion section, and there'll be a post there about vMix 25, and you can download the preview is what they're calling it. They call it the preview in writing, but when they talk about it, they call it the beta. The beta. So there we go. Nicholas Craig says, hey, Nick, are they going to allow NAB this year? The current plan is yes. I'm making my plans. John canceled Bible study just for the show today, just this time. Okay. You are forgiven, sir, just this time. Nick, we'll have to see. If Omicron kind of sweeps through, maybe even fizzles out before then, that would be really great. It all depends on who's running the show and, what tolerance is for risk. Yeah, and how plugged in are they to good, accurate information? It's hard to get accurate information in the U.S. The CDC said 2 days ago that Omicron had reached 70% or 73% in the U.S. and then retracted it yesterday and said, oh, no, it was only 34%. Well, that's a huge mistake for a billion-dollar organization to make. It's just inexcusable, I think. Inexcusable. So we'll see. HJB, sorry, South River, New Jersey. Welcome, sir. I never can get your name pronounced correctly. Is it Hamley? H-A... you spell it and you pronounce it for me. Yeah, whoops, just a small math error. Nothing to see here. Billion-dollar organization. Doesn't make money, it just spends it. Yeah, there we go. What else? vMix 25. Coming up in the spring, after I get a little recovery from the knee surgery, we're going to do another vMix 101 class. So if you're interested, check back with us. We'll be talking about it and have it on the website. All right, so it's Hamjat. Hamjat. Got it. Thank you very much. Spell the way it sounds. Sounds the way it's spelled. Marie is here. Welcome. Live from the Ear Sound Bridge. I'll say it that way because I don't dare try it the other way. Because I don't know what an O with a slash through it is, how that's pronounced. Is that an O sound? Orisunspron? My tongue doesn't twist that direction. Marie, I hope you and Jan can make it to NAB, although I know that's kind of iffy. Would love to see you guys again. Although you could invite Sandy and I to come to Sweden. We would okay that. We're ready for a big trip. Although we just got back from a big trip. We're heading off for another big trip next week, but that's by car. We're not driving to Sweden by car. All right, so we're counting down here. Here is the countdown, and we're getting ready for the show. What's really interesting here as I get ready for the show is that I've got all these screens going with the LiveLan going. So we'll have to see what happens. Okay, so let's hit the pink button, and we'll get the show started. Pink button, Tom. Pink button. Pink button. See, we have the X keys, XK80, and on it we have two pink buttons. One of them is marked intro. One of them is marked outro. So let's do the intro ones and see what happens. Maybe we'll get lucky. All right. Woo, we got lucky. We got lucky. Welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots. Today we are doing a review of, ta-da. Oh, hold on. I've got a ta-da button. vMix 25. vMix 25 is in beta. Let me tell you a little bit about my setup because I'm not sure how much longer I can keep this setup going because my CPU is cranking up there. I am running a, what is this called? Let me get something up here so we can see better here. Where is it? It should be this pink button right there. There we go. I am running a Intel i7 8700K CPU. not overclocked. And I'm watching my total CPU here. It bumped into the 90s just a second ago, so that makes me a little nervous. So if you're watching in chat and you see anything, any kind of video anomalies or audio anomalies, please post and let me know. It may have just been a temporary little bump. We've got an i7. We've got only 16 gigs of RAM, solid state main drive, M.2, and I think this machine has got a solid state drive for the recording drive. And then what did we put in here? Come on, I should have had my act together better than this. We've been playing with different video cards, and the current video card is a RTX 2080 Ti. Okay, so we don't have the other one in that I was thinking of, but that should be adequate, don't you think? We're running 1, 2, 3 monitors off of it. This camera is a BirdDog P200. In the back, we've got a PTZ Optics 20X upgraded to NDI that's going to have some of the shots, and then we've got some Logitech C920 USB cameras that have got some of the shots. The mic right here, just out of frame, is an Audio-Technica AT897, which I really love. It's a shotgun mic. It's a condenser mic, so it picks up everything. You might hear a truck coming down the highway in front of us here. And it's run into a Behringer UMC 404 HD audio interface that comes in USB. We're using that Waves Audio NS1 noise filter on it too to try to filter out some of the noise. And audio is good on this end. Well, thank you. Yes. Okay, so Tim says, anybody hearing a sound glitch click every few seconds? That would be good to know. Yeah. What could a click be? Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Tim thinks it could be his ear pods. Okay, welcome, Clint. Glad you're here. We can get started now. Okay. John, are you hearing a click every few seconds? And Wixton, thank you, Wixton, says that he hears one on Facebook but not on YouTube. That's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Thank you very much. So that's the basic setup. I've also got 1, 2, 3 computers. You remember the spare parts computer we finished last week? I've got that set up here in the studio, and we're running LiveLan on that. I've got my Microsoft Surface Pro running LiveLan on that. I've got Sandy, my wife Sandy's Asus laptop. We're running it on that. And then I've got my Samsung Galaxy S10. We're running LiveLan on that. So we're running 4 streams of LiveLan at the moment. And I'll show you those. And I've got a, John says, perfect sound. Well, you're very nice. Very nice. And Tim says he's on YouTube. Interesting. No clicks. All right. So we'll keep an eye on this. Thank you for the update on that. So vMix 25, yeah, it's a beta. That's how we pronounce it down here in the South. It's a beta. It's been out for about 8 days, so it's fairly fresh. It was a joy to have that released before Christmas, so we could have a chance to play with it a little bit during the Christmas holidays. Hat tip to Martin and Tim and all that group at vMix for making that happen. And they said they were going to release it that night, and it turned out to be, I think, later that afternoon for them where they finally got it out. It was after the vMix Funtime live show last week. If you missed that, go check it out on YouTube. Interesting thing about the vMix Funtime live show is if you see the YouTube version now, that's just the show. But if you watch live, you get the pre-show and the post-show, and there are all sorts of great stuff in the pre-show and post-show that don't make it into the show. I don't know why they don't publish the whole thing. I guess so that you'll be there for it live, because it is a unique experience, and one that once it's gone, unless of course you recorded it yourself. So vMix 25 has got has got 4 or 5 main parts to it. The first main part, and the part that I'm going to start with, is LiveLan, and that is the ability to send a local area network stream of your vMix output. And I'm doing that right now too, as I told you, the four destinations. And we'll come back, loop back to that in just a second. The other thing that vMix 25 has done is, actually, 25 is a perfect square. You knew that. And so the square root of 25 is 5, which means NDI 5 is now officially adopted into vMix. I've looked around to try to find something in vMix that would be different or tell me that NDI 5 was there instead of NDI 4.67432. But I couldn't find anything. So, I'll just throw up my hands and say, NDI 5 is in there. It's baked in. It's baked in with all the other flavors, and you can't taste it, but it's there, and it's an important part. And we may touch back on it again later, but for the most part, it's just there. It's just there. A lot of folks have wanted to see extra categories, and so vMix has added 16 new categories, and we'll come circle back around to that too. And so, and then the fourth kind of major feature, although none of these are that major, they're not major like vMix Call was major, or SRT was major. They're not major like that, but they're kind of minor major. But one that a lot of people have wanted is the ability to have a preset bundle that will actually have all of your assets, your videos, your audio files, different text files or whatever you're using in your production, all of that into one kind of zip file that you can pass from PC to PC. So you can easily duplicate your production on a second PC just using the zip file, the proprietary zip file from your primary PC. So it's gonna be cool. So we'll have a look at that too. And there's some other little interesting features in that aren't documented, but I want to get your opinion on. Am I just making this stuff up? And the last is miscellaneous, which they called, I think, other. The category of things that aren't so noteworthy that they would be a feature in and of themselves. Like, for example, they've added 3 new virtual sets. Yeah, from a company called virtualstudiosets.com. So you can go to virtualstudiosets.com and get, they have a variety of vMix virtual sets there, and they've got three. It's really one with 3 different angles, but they've got new virtual sets there. So let's take a look. By the way, let's see, a couple of side announcements here. We are just a smidgen away from having 7,000 YouTube subscribers. I never thought we'd get this big. So if you know somebody that might be interested, or if you're a regular viewer but you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, we've got 6,937. That means we need 63 to make 7,000. Woohoo! That would be so cool. It doesn't really matter. But if you'd like to subscribe, we'd love to have you. And that's our YouTube page. Eastern Shore Broadcasting, I think, is how it's listed, but that's where all the Streaming Idiot shows go. So let's talk about LiveLan. LiveLan is based on, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I think it's, is it HTML5 that allows you to kind of stream within the same network to a browser. And so vMix says, yeah, you can stream it. So it's actually a part of the streaming system in vMix. Now, if I were smart, I would have created a desktop capture that would have allowed me to show you that. Hang on one second. We need to get on the show tab here. Off the pre-show tab. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And let's try this one. So, one sec here. I should have set all this up in advance. I'm sorry. So this is the production. Yeah, so let's just put me up here in preview, and we'll take the lower third off. And if we're going to go to, will we see this? No, we won't see that, will we? Doggone it. So let me capture the whole monitor instead of capturing the vMix window. Patience, patience, patience. There we go. Okay. So now let's take that out. So let's come down here to streaming. And I'm going to go to stream settings. This is my YouTube stream. This is my Facebook stream. And this is the LiveLan stream. Let me go back and sharpen that one just a second so you guys can see it a little more clearly. There we go. So let's go back to stream, to number 3, LiveLan. And it's really simple. I mean, you basically select LiveLan from the list and then you start it. And you can use, in my case, I'm using the same quality as the rest of the streams, which is H.264 1080p 5 megabits per second. Remember that because that's going to come up in a test in just a minute. AAC, which is the audio 128 kbps. And I'm using the hardware encoder because that's what the number 1 stream is using. I can say view stream, and when I do, it will pop up a browser. And let me show you what that browser looks like. Let's go over to a browser on my PC, and I'm just going to go in, and I'm going to put in the IP address. Yeah, here it is right there. I'm going to put in the IP address for my PC, which is 80. And then I'm going to put in 8088, which is some sort of output from vMix, and then slash, and then LiveLan. Yeah, I mean, it was all written up there, but I just wanted to type it. So when I go to that, it's going to take me to this page, which is about, I think, I'm not sure what the resolution of this is, but it's about 1/4 of a page. And so at this point, I can start it, which is about, I think, and I need to mute it because obviously it's going to create a super echo. And now it's showing itself. And let's go ahead and maximize the screen. And it says I can press escape to exit full screen. So let's come back to me for just a second. And in about 10 seconds, it's going to populate that screen again. So we'll go back to it. And you can see that we're about 10 seconds behind. There we go. All right. So we'll cut back to that. And obviously there's a lip sync problem there because that's me, but it's not really me. It's about 10 seconds behind. So let's count together, shall we? Everybody ready? 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, 1011, 1012, 1013, 1014, 1015, 1016, 1017, 1018, 1019, 1020. I think something's wrong. I don't know what's going on, but something is wrong. Oh, I know why. It was showing itself. Let's do that a different way. Boy, that was stupid. I am not the sharpest tool on the shelf, let me tell you. All right, so let's take a look here. This is back in the studio, back in the workshop area, and you can see at the very top is Sandy's laptop, and then the bottom screen is from the spare PC. And then here on my desktop, we've got my laptop, and then my phone, which is running the LiveLan as well. And I've taken those and I've kind of put those in a matrix. Here we go. Here's the matrix. So my laptop is the top left corner. Sandy's laptop is top right corner. My iPhone is the bottom right corner. And the spare parts PC is the bottom left corner. So you can see, yeah, there's a lot going on there. And eventually it's going to kind of go to infinity as time goes on. And you see that there was kind of a different latency a different latency between each shot. And if we went back to it now, it would now be a shot within a shot within a shot, of course. But we're going to get back to me for just a second, and I'm gonna count here, and then when I get to 10, I'm going to switch over and let's see how that works. So we're going to do 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010, and we're going to switch back to that and see. You can see there are different latencies for the different devices. And my laptop is the last one to come back in. The two laptops are Wi-Fi. In fact, the phone is Wi-Fi too. So the spare parts PC is really the only one that is hooked up, that is hardwired. Currently, my CPU is bumping between 58 and 72% total CPU. The vMix CPU is about 43%. But let me show you something that's really interesting. This is my local area network. So if you haven't seen this before, this is from Task Manager, the Performance tab, and I've highlighted the Ethernet. So this is going to be the activity that's going in and out of my production PC. And what I want to draw your attention to is in the in the bottom right hand corner where it says send for 6.6, 4.1, 6.9, blah, 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 and receive the 123 Mbps. Now the receive is going to be the NDI feeds that are coming into my PC, but the sends are what my PC is sending out. And you can see if you look at the graph right above it, it had some jagged parts to it, and then it kind of bottomed out and is now kind of flat. So I'm going to go back for about 10 seconds, and I'm going to show me again and then come back to this. So let's cut to me for a second, and I'm going to get a little motion in there so we can try to make sure that we're going to get some activity, because the more motion, the more pixels that change, of course, the more pixels you have to send. So all right, so now let's go back to that. And we'll see now we're sending, 44, 3, 23, 3, 8, 2, 9, 3. And the graph, you can see the graph was really jagged. And again, now it's smoothing out now that there's an image where very little changes. Let's see if we can take my main shot, and we'll just kind of lay this over it. So we'll go into the main shot, we'll go into the layers, and we'll take desktop capture. I think that's number 5. Nope, must be number 4. Maybe it's number 4. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So let's take that and we'll just reduce it down a little bit. And we'll put it up here where at least you can see the relative jumps there, and you can see the numbers. But you can see now, right, how can we best point it out? The graph right there, how it's going up and down. When I was playing with this the other day with just one LiveLan destination, that is one browser enabled, I was getting the same bump, but it was going from 0 or almost 0 to 12, and then back to 0, back to 12, back to 0, back to 12. And what I noticed in playing with this earlier is that I'm still getting the differentiation, but that over time it begins to flatten out. And you can see that beginning to happen with the graph right here. Even though this picture hasn't changed a whole lot, it's beginning to flatten out, so the amount being sent is fairly consistent. What I think is happening is that every second, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, yeah, about every second, vMix is firing off a batch of a piece of a video file. And it's going to some of the 1, 2, 3, 4 destinations. Plus, I've got one up here that is kind of a fifth one, but it's on the same PC, so I'm not quite sure how it's associated with that. And when things change radically, it sends a lot, well, whether it changes radically or not doesn't matter. But what I think it does is every other second, it's sending data to different browsers. So on second 1, these 2 browsers are getting it. On second 2, these 2 browsers are getting it. On second 3, back to the first 2 browsers with new information, and they're all getting, a second or a second and a half worth of video, whatever it is. We know we have about a 10 to 15 second buffer. Some people in the forums have recorded that it's actually as low as 6 seconds, but I think it depends on your network, and it probably depends on the number of different destinations you have, the different browsers that are open. So we're seeing, here we go. It bumped up to 62. So we're back to the jaggies again. And I think we'll see that begin to layer out. It also could be that some browsers are just not responding as quickly. And so that it kind of gets out of sync with itself, where, the browser skips from the first second and now becomes part of the second second. Then eventually, he's so slow that he falls back to the first second again. Not really sure. But you can see, you can see now it's beginning to thin back out again. The amount of data hasn't changed. I mean, I'm moving my arms around, but that hasn't really changed the amount of data. The blue is still blue. My shirt is still blue. This graphic is not providing a lot of detailed changes. But now we've kind of evened out at 37, 38 megabits per second, and I think we'll see that pop back the other direction here in just a second as well. So I don't know what that means, but I think it's interesting. Well, here's what it means. What it means is if the average is 38 megabits per second that's being sent from the PC, and by the way, some of that is the live stream that I'm streaming out to you guys today. But the other part is that as I take some of these browsers off, and I'll do that in just a second, we can see the number decrease, and it ends up being about 12 megabits per browser. And you say, well, Tom, you're only streaming at 5. Why is it 12? Well, remember, it's streaming a chunk. It's streaming a whole second's chunk, or maybe 2 seconds worth. I'm not really sure what it is behind the scenes. So it's going to stream more in that burst that it gives it than if we had spread it out for that amount of time. So it's about double. It's a burst of twice as much information, and then we're going to come back a second later with another burst of information, or 2 seconds later, whatever the math ends up being. But this number right here, the high number that keeps changing, or not the high number, but the 4030 number, that's the number that we need to worry about in terms of the effect that it's going to have on our local area network. Now, I've got a gig switch here, so I think I'm probably in pretty good shape. But if I were streaming 100 of these, and each one had a net effect at any point in time of 12, that would be 1200. That would be over a gig. But it also looks like it only does half of them at a time. So that's good. That would take my 1200 down to 600. But as we can see with the jaggies up here, sometimes it's more than half. One of them gets more than half, one of them gets less than half. And up and down it goes until finally it begins to level out a little bit. So if you're planning on using this in a large scale production, for example, the local school here, local elementary school, we built a studio for them. We did a portable PC live streaming system for them that's on a cart. It's really cool, rolls around and they can plug it in. It's on Wi-Fi. We need to put a battery on that. That would be really cool. So battery backup, you wouldn't have to plug it into anything. Anyway, they're doing their morning announcements, the morning school announcements using the studio, and they're streaming it to Facebook, which means if anybody wants to watch it, they have to have a Facebook account. And some of the teachers are a little reluctant to log into their personal Facebook accounts in order to do that in the classroom. So basically it gets streamed out to Facebook, and then it comes back into each individual classroom. So I want to test being able to use this LiveLan and see. I don't know how many classrooms they have. They just expanded the school last year. So it would be interesting to see if can we do all the classrooms? Let's say they have 100 classrooms. Can we do 100 classrooms? Can we do 50? Can we do 50 classrooms at LiveLan and 50 at Facebook? I don't know. But I'll get some real world data for you on that if you're interested. We'll definitely be following up on this in a future show to kind of talk about this. Other places that the LiveLan can be effective. I'm talking about kind of a one-to-many in browsers in a school situation, school application. But the same could be used, for example, on an as-needed basis at a church. If you want to set up an easy, I say easy, but we'll talk about it. But if you want to set up an easy way to have video in a remote location, a fellowship hall or a different building or something like that, so long as that building is on your same local area network and you can get a device that has a browser, a PC, a laptop, a phone, or a smart TV that's browser enabled, that's the ticket right there. Plug in Ethernet, or if the TV does Wi-Fi, you got Wi-Fi, pull up a browser, put in the IP address of your vMix PC. In my case, it was 192.168.1.80:8088/LiveLan, and boom, you've got video. Now it's going to be 6 to 10, maybe 15 seconds behind, but if it's in a remote location, it doesn't matter. Now, if there's hearing from one place to the other, then obviously that's not going to be a perfect solution. But I can think of some churches where they have other buildings that are on the same campus, but it's not the same physical building, where they would like to have overflow. So this is an overflow that may not cost anything. Lots of folks have talked to me about using the bird dog out of a decoder, so that local area network plugged into a PC, and then that's displayed on a big screen. Absolutely, positively, that'll work. At HDMI extender, where you take an HDMI out of your production PC and extending it over Cat 6 for 300 feet to a destination, that'll work too. But this, I think, could have the potential for being free, other than a cable and a browser-enabled TV on the other end. And most churches that I talk to really like free. So churches and schools, big deal. I would never use it here in the studio because the latency is too poor. If I were doing a TV in the window just to show folks that are driving by what's going on in here live, I don't care about a 6-second latency, but anything else like that wouldn't work for me studio. So LiveLan, I think, for people that can use it, it'll be a big deal. For folks that don't need it, it's like, okay, next feature, Tom. All right, so before we go to the next feature, let's just take a look at these as I begin to start turning these off, and let's see how the numbers change. So I'm going to start with the easy one, which is my laptop, which is right here. And I'm just going to close out that browser window, and let's see what happens. So we've got 25, 38, 25, 37, 26, 37. Not a whole lot of difference there. Okay, let's take my my phone off. And how can we get this off? There it is down there in the bottom. And we will just get out of that one. So our numbers dropped, 1350, 1338, 1337. So you can see that my phone was on one side, not the other. I'm going to take the big browser off over here on the big screen TV. If I can get my mouse over there, there we go. And we'll just get rid of that one and see, did that have a net effect? 1338, 1337, 1438, not really. All right, so I'm going to get up and walk around back here to the studio area, to the workshop area, and we'll see what taking those out of the loop looks like. All right, so I'm going to take out the spare parts PC. And I'm going to take out Sandy's laptop. So now we have 0 LiveLans going on. And the number is now 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 13, 14. And I've got 3 outgoing streams. One of them is YouTube, one of them is Facebook, and then LiveLan is still streaming. So let's turn the LiveLan off. And I'm just going to go to the settings for stream. I'm going to go to the 3rd, and I'm going to say stop. So we've stopped the LiveLan, and we're 13, 14, 13, 6, 13, 8, 14, 2. Not a huge effect. And then, of course, we have an anomaly bump every now and then for who knows what reason. So there we go. That's LiveLan. And we can see that these numbers right here are kind of my usual numbers for a Streaming Idiot show. Also interesting to note, and I should have set up a desktop capture for it, but my CPU, my total CPU, has dropped from about 70% plus or minus to about 45% plus or minus. Excuse me just a second. Got to get some lemonade. There we go. So I'll be interested to see if I tried to do 100 live streams, if the well, let's just start that live stream back up again, see if it has an impact on my CPU. So immediately it bumped to 80%. Now it's at 60, 53, 47, 74, 51, 56, 65, and we'll turn it back off again, and we'll see it drop down 45, 48, 45, 41. So it has about maybe a 10 or 15% of the total 100% of the CPU has about a 15% hit, and then probably, I don't know, maybe another 2% hit per stream. I'll do some more testing with that, and we'll see if that it makes a difference. Michael says, "Hey, Michael says, does it tie up a hardware encoder?" In this case, for me, Michael, I was using the same stream settings as the stream 1, so all 3 of my streams, my YouTube stream, my Facebook stream, and my LiveLan stream, all used the same hardware encoder. And then I've got a hardware encoder that I'm using for the recording. So I have one hardware encoder left over. So there we go. So that is vMix LiveLan. We'll touch some more about that in other shows. Let me check my notes here and see. Yeah, and again, this is streaming 1080p 60 at 5 megabits per second. Now, whether the receiving browsers had the capacity to do 60, well, I guess they would. You know, even my phone will take 60 frame per second video. And this, again, will only work on a browser-enabled device with the address. And LiveLan will give you the address if you didn't remember it. So let's have a go at something else. So we'll take that off for just a second. And let's look at, oh yes, let's look at categories. Let's look at categories. How about some new categories? New categories, new. You can see I've got categories. All is the gray one. Show, vMix call, cameras, graphics and titles, audio, pre and post show. And then the first new one is virtual set. And we can go into that one in just a second. And then I've got, new, the light green, the light blue, the light purple, the light blue, and some other lights. Let's see, can we go into those? We're going to right click on that, and we don't get that kind of desktop capture. Okay, let's go back to this shot, shall we? We'll put me up there. There we go. Now I'm going to go and I'm just going to right click on any one of the categories, and that brings up the category menu. And you can see our first 6 are the ones we've always had. And then we've added 16 new ones. I can see Martin Sinclair saying to himself, I'm going to put so many new categories on there, they'll never ask me for new categories again. Martin, never say never. Because sooner or later, somebody's going to say, oh, I've got 22 categories, but I really need 24. Well, that's going to come. And I can tell you what else is going to come because I've said it 3 times. I think, and by the way, this color stuff is really kind of cool. Let's pick one that's not being used. I've got 4 down here at the bottom. You notice there are check boxes here, and the check boxes are what allows these to be displayed. See, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors here that I've defined, but I'm not displaying yet. So let's go ahead and just display those. Those are going to be empty categories. And I'm going to say OK. And you see it adds them as empty categories here. And I guess there's enough room to go almost all the way across. Again, I'm going to right click. We'll go down here. But in order to do that, I can double click on any one of these and select, with my cursor, any color I want. Or I can select some previously used colors. Or I can select different predefined colors for me. Let's do a gray because we haven't used a gray yet. So we've got a gray, and we'll enable that, and we're just going to call it, that's right, we're going to call it gray. So now we have a gray category, not to be confused with the all category over here on the left. We have a gray category. So let's right click that, and we can see we've got all those categories. What I would love is if instead of typing in here, we had the opportunity to use any one of 100 million, 1,000 billion emojis or avatars or icons that are, out there on the internet. And maybe somebody's already figured out a way to do that. So that would be cool to have a little picture of a camera instead of having to write out cameras. To have a movie symbol instead of having to do videos, microphone for all your microphones, that kind of thing. I think it would save space, and it would also, at least for me, I'm such a visual person, I recognize symbols much more easily than I recognize words. I think most people are like that. The other thing that I would suggest, Martin, because I know he's gotten up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch this, right? Yeah. Let's double click this guy. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's right. Double click. And it would be nice to have the ability to do maybe some gradients or some stripes, or, you know, some other thing besides the colors, because I think it would just give us some options. And here's the thing, I think it would be fun. It would be fun to have a gradient that was a sunset, or a gradient that was a blue to red, or green to orange. You know, it would just be fun. How hard would it be to do? I don't know. I'm not a coder, but I think it would be fun, and it would be colorful. And I like color, and I like fun. So there we go. Categories, big plus from me on categories. No doubt. Double plus, double thumbs up. Well done on categories, Martin and vMix. How are we doing on time? Oh gosh, we're over time. Okay, we're going to go just a little long. We'll have to continue this next week because we can't get through all of it with enough depth, I don't think. But let's talk about preset bundles. Preset bundle, and we'll discuss some more of this in the post show, and I'll go back and you know, kind of read through your comments in post show, and you can pose questions. Yeah, Kevin says he still wants to have input numbers for categories. You'll have to explain that one to me. I don't get that, but that's okay. I mean, you can do that number. You can do that now. You can just go, you know, 1-25 and put all your first 25 inputs in that category. Anyway, preset bundles. Preset bundles is a great idea. It's a great idea. It makes vMix portable. So you can work on something at home, and you can drop it in a Dropbox and pick it up at church or at work or in your studio the next day, and boom, all your assets are there. You've added video, you know, you've changed something, it'll be there. If you have something that, you know, exists maybe on your PC at your studio, like cameras, that doesn't exist another place, if you create your preset here and you bring it in here, those will just be offline. They'll just be not connected. Same thing for audio, because obviously you can't take the cameras and put them in a preset. They won't fit. They don't zip. It would have to be digital stuff. So all your digital stuff will go in there, and this will include video. It'll include audio. It will include all of the text of all of your titles. It will include all of your settings. Yes, it will include all your streaming settings. It will include, you know, the number of whether or not you're using hardware encoders for your streams or your recordings. It will include whether or not you're recording to a D drive or an E drive. You know, whatever that might be, it's going to take all of those settings. It'll take your performance settings and your option settings and all of those settings, and put those into one place, which vMix has not done before. Previously, you could export your settings file that would become a configuration file, and you can save your preset, which would become a preset file, and take these two files and send them someplace, but it wouldn't have the videos or the audios or the pictures or anything else. I mean, it would be the settings and the presets, but it wouldn't contain the assets. So this is a pretty big deal to be able to include the assets into this bundle. And now we've got everything in one place, and we can ship it off wherever we want to. Let's say that you spin up a server in the cloud, and you want to populate it with your stuff. If you configure it correctly, you can use this bundle, this preset bundle, to do that. Yep, sure can. Here are some things that I've noticed about this. Let me bring it back up here and we'll take a look. So let's come in here, and we're going to notice that up here at the top, we have a save button, which we've always had, and we have a save as button, and then the save as button has a little drop down. And that drop down says that we can save it as a bundle. So if I want to save this as a bundle, I can choose save as a bundle, and it'll give me an opportunity to name it. right here, and I can put it wherever I want to, and it's a vMix preset bundle dot vMix zip. Now, I'm not going to do it for this because I know it takes a few minutes to save all this stuff. I've got 82 different inputs that I'm working with right now. So I don't want to do that. But you can see I've got a couple of that I've tested up here in the past. This one is 688K. This one is 429 megabytes. So obviously this one has a lot. I think I created this one on this PC and I created this one on my laptop just to kind of see if I could open them back and forth. And obviously I can't do that now because I'm using the PC for live streaming. So we're going to cancel out of this. If I click the save as button, I'm just now saving a preset and I'm saving it as something else. If I click the save button, nothing happens. You mean vMix now works like, oh, I don't know. What do you call that program? Hang on a second. This is too good of a line to blow. Yeah, vMix works like WordPad. You can just click save and it saves it without asking any questions or permissions or, golly, do you agree that you really want to save this? You know, would you write that out? No, it just saves it. Now, it doesn't save it all the time. I noticed I think there's a time limit on it because I left this vMix preset up last night. I just wanted to see what would happen if I left it up overnight. And then I made a few changes this morning and I went and clicked the save button and it asked me what I wanted to name the file. So apparently at some point it times out in the ability to just click save. But yeah, and you saw the button took a second to turn back to black. And if let's say I'm going to add something, let's just add a quick input. We're going to add an image. We'll add this vMix review image. So I've now changed my preset, and you can see down here, this is the one that I just added. If I click save here, it saves it. So now this new one is part of that. But at some point in time, it would ask me did I want to call it by the same name? But for right now, it's saving it as 122821.vmix. Yep, that's what it's called. So I think that's pretty neat. That's one of those little hidden things that it's in some ways it's like Easter, and I don't mean the risen Christ part of Easter, but the secular part of Easter eggs, where there are Easter eggs hidden. And this is one of those little Easter eggs that's hidden in vMix. Like vMix is famous for right-clicking on things and having menus there that you didn't know existed. Right-click on some of your inputs sometimes, and you'll find that they have different menus depending on what kind of input they are. It's really kind of cool. Let's see, what else? That's all I've discovered with the bundles. I haven't tested that extensively, at least not as much as LiveLan, but I think it's very promising, and I would be interested to find situations where maybe it didn't save everything. Where the vMix zip .vmix zip, that file did not include a particular asset or an input or a setting. And I'm sure that's just a bug. And I reported what I thought was a bug in the vMix forum. Turns out it wasn't a bug. What I did was I saved my preset. Let's see, can I do it here? We'll save as, and where is it? Right there. And so I said save. Did you want to replace it? Already exists. Yes. And now if I go back again and do a save as, do the same one. Yeah, okay. It doesn't do it now, but apparently it was throwing out an error earlier because my presets get automatically saved to my Dropbox so that if this PC blows up or goes away, I've saved all my work. And apparently it was in the process of uploading that file to Dropbox, and so the message came back, hey, you can't do that. This file is in use. And Martin was very gracious to explain to me that I'm an idiot. So no news on that front, is it? So there we go. Let's see what else we got. Virtual sets. Yeah, let's take a quick look at virtual sets, and then we'll head over to the post show. So we've got a virtual set here somewhere. Virtual set. What did I do to my virtual set? Oh, I put it in the virtual set. There it is right there. So there we go. Yeah, it's the same old way a virtual set works, but let's put it out there, and there we go. There it is. It's an interesting virtual set. The elements that you can change are this screen, the talent, and apparently the desk is something that's changeable. If you've never seen the vMix virtual sets, they're really pretty cool. They do a nice slow pan zoom to move from shot to shot. And obviously it's playing around with the resolution when you're doing a zoom. So this is not a physical camera movement. This is a digital zoom, and that's okay. And so let's see. Let's go back to the show. We'll come back to this guy, and we'll go live with that one. So when we're in the virtual set portion down here, we've got these 4 panes that we can use as our 4 different shots. And if we go into setup, we can change these different elements. We've got the screen 1, the midground, spare, talent, desk, and spare. So you can see there's 6 layers here, as it were. And you can go into the settings and see, here are the different layers that essentially we've picked up on. Anyway, virtual sets are really kind of cool. And then you can change the speed at which it moves. We were at slow. We can go to fast and have it move much more rapidly to the desired position. If we were, not on this was not our active shot, so we would want the camera to move really, really quickly. So there we go. All right. So that's it. That's it for virtual sets. The virtual sets are from a company called virtualstudiosets.com, and they are identified as that in their name in the virtual set input in vMix. Now you can get vMix 25 at the vMix forum. That's forums, plural, forums.vmix.com in the general discussion section. You can download it. If you already have vMix 24, you can download vMix 25 right over it, no problem, and go right back to vMix 24 if you want to. If you erased your vMix 24 installer, you can get that at vMix 2. Currently it's the active vMix, so so if you're downloading the trial or an updated version, and I think vMix has made available all the way back to vMix 21 maybe. The different downloads. So if you were on an older version, you can revert back to that. A word of you for you that are using older versions of vMix. vMix will allow a free update. I almost said upgrade, but it's really update. Will allow a free update to the current version. Now this doesn't upgrade you from HD to 4K or anything like that, but it just upgrades your vMix number from 19 or whatever. But in this case, from January 1st, 2020, if you bought your vMix after that, you can update to vMix 24 for free, and of course use the beta vMix 25. If you are older than that, you might try it. It might work. If it doesn't work, well, vMix will tell you it didn't work, and you can revert back to your previous version. But it's only $60 to make the update, so it's not a huge fee. Michael Graves said that he had to pay $60 to get the new beta. So there you go. I tell you what, next week we'll have a little trivia contest and we'll give away an update. So if you need one and you want to wait a week and might save $60, let's do that. All right, well, let's close out this portion and go into the post show. I really do want to hear your comments about what you think so far. Sorry that this one ran so long, but there was a lot to see, and we didn't get all over all of it. So sit tight. Be right back. All right. Let's see. I think we've got vMix Social set on auto update. So let's turn off auto update for a second. And we'll go over here to some of these comments. Michael Graves says that he had to pay $60 to upgrade, but it was definitely worth it. Mike is asking, Tom, your GPU memory is 55%. What GPU are you using, and any idea what elements in your production are driving it that high? Mike, I'm using an RTX 2080 Ti, and I think what's driving it that high is that I have a lot of screen captures. I have a lot of titles. I don't have a lot of videos. I've got a couple. And what else have I got a lot of? Got a lot of cameras. Not all of them are active right now. Have a lot of, I see a lot of titles that I'm not using. You know, one that says, thanks for watching. One that says, testing. One that says, what does this one say? 5 new audio buses. I guess I can get rid of that one. Don't need that one around. I've got, several browser windows up. So yeah. So there's always something that probably shouldn't have been saved, but was. Let's see, where are we here? I agree, Jan. I think I'll be using it a lot too. That's interesting. Something to test for sure. Now that's an important point, Dave. I forgot to mention that because I bumped into that the very first time I used vMix 25. I was like, whoa, what is this? Normally it says, are you sure you want to close vMix? But in this case, it was saying, hey, would you like to save your setup? Well, I like that. I like that. Yes. Yes. James Dunn. Welcome, James. Presets are super helpful for someone like me that builds complete shows and then sends them to somebody else. Exactly. I like it. Is there an advantage to using the preset bundle feature if you already saved your preset assets and presets into folders on Google Drive? Yes. Biggest difference in that, Mike, is that it saves the settings too. So if you've got specific things in your settings that you want to have carried forward to your other machine, for example, I don't use the quick play, so I don't want it in the transition bar, right in the middle of vMix. But I do use the clock, so I want the transition bar to be gone. I want the quick play to be gone and the clock to be out there all the time, and I like the way the clock is configured. And just little things like that about how it looks and it feels, and that's part of what's in settings. So yeah, probably takes up a lot of resources with images and gradients. Yeah, Dave's talking about categories, and it might, Dave. You might be right. Might be a good reason not to do that. KMR says, I still want to have inputs for categories, input numbers for categories. I think I mentioned, I noticed that earlier, and I wasn't sure exactly what you meant for that. So if you could expand on that just a little bit. Dave said, vMix recommends a limit of inputs based on hardware configuration. Really? Didn't know that. I have clients that are using well over 200 or 300 inputs with no problems on PCs that we built for them. KMR says, any other Easter eggs? Well, not that I've found yet. Oh my gosh. And Jan, of course, with an interesting observation, you can say no to saving settings when exiting. You can say no to saving the preset when exiting, but still use, you're asking that. Can you still use last next time? I don't know. I'll try that, but I can't try that right now because, yeah, it won't work because I would lose you guys. Okay, for example, let's see. Here we go. For example, category 1 has inputs 1 through 20 and the ability to skip numbers. So you can categorize your input numbers. I'm going to have to let that one soak in for a second. I'm going to have to let that one soak in. For some reason, I have a disconnect on what you mean with that. Maybe this will help. I want to be able to number inputs based on the category they're in, not just sequentially, but be able to skip input numbers. No, it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. It really is me. I'm just in it. Sometimes, and maybe some of you have the same thing. You can explain to me something in words all day long, but until I see it, sometimes I don't grab it. Here's a great example. Back in the olden days, back in vMix 13, I was having the hardest time getting vMix to stream to more than one destination. And of course, vMix was a little different back then too. I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. It was not intuitive to me. And the written instructions, and every time I posted something in the forum and people explained it to me, I just, couldn't get it. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I couldn't get it. And then somebody posted a post that, no, it was a video. Who was it that did that video? I'll have to go back and check. Did a video of how you did it. Oh, no, he wasn't even explaining how you did it. He was just showing it because he was going to show something else. And then it was like, boom, fireworks everywhere. There you go. There you go. Okay, Don's got it here. He says, cameras 1 through 10, videos 11 through 30, vMix calls 50 to 55. Okay. Yeah. Do you have the ability to freeze a category, input number so that it's always that input number? I mean, that would do it. It wouldn't be a change to categories. It would be a change to how inputs worked. So whenever you created an input, I mean, right now you can just reorder them, but if you add one at the beginning, that renumbers everything else. Yep. I mean, frankly, I just throw all of my cameras in the camera category, regardless of what number they are. I'm not sure that the numbering is, well, it's obviously important to you. and I'm just a dummy. So there. Okay, let's see. Let's see what other comments I might have missed back in the olden days, like an hour ago. Ba-dum. The initial instance LiveLan and each connection aggregates CPU and network resources. That's a nice way of saying it, Rich. Interesting to see how many can max out a vMix station or a network. Yeah. And it depends on what else you're doing. I mean, I was streaming 3 destinations. One of them was a LAN. And I was recording. And I'm using 82 inputs, which are doing all sorts of things. But we're cruising along right now at 25%. Only streaming, I think we're only streaming 2 places. Let's see. Yeah, we're not streaming to LiveLan right now. But I would be interested to see, I'm about to build another 18-core PC. It'd be interesting to see just how much horsepower. I guess the question is, if I could get that into a location that had a large enough network to test. That's the thing. I don't have, you can see I was scratching for for anything with a browser built into it. All right, let's see. Wixton would like something with USB, USB-C, and stuff in front. Am I catching you in the middle of a discussion, or is that something else? Let's see. Here we go, Larry Parvin. Hi, I'm from Eastern Oregon. What's with the admin arbitrarily declaring that expiration dates on the software keys are no longer good? My date is 9 May 2116. Yeah, what that means is that in the year 2116, which is 95 years from now, your license key will technically expire. But I'm guessing sometime, if vMix is still around 95 years from now, that they'll fix that. They'll fix that. Yeah, the first time I saw that, I didn't notice the date. I thought it was like, 20, I think it was like in 2001. And I saw it was, 2101. I was like, how can this expire? But yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to another page. For LiveLan, I think that's gay. That's the case. Let's see what else. I think I've answered this, but yes, Rich, I did see a little bit of CPU jump when I started the LiveLan stream, and then each time I added a destination, I went to a different PC and put the 192.168.1.80:8088/LiveLan in there and started it. I saw just a little bump in CPU, and then of course a bump in the network. But it's going to be this the kind of thing that I think we will see. We'll have to see what the limits are. Yeah, that's a great example, Marie. If you've got another room that's away from the original production. Yep. I agree, James. Welcome, Aziz. Glad to have you. Otis, I hope you got it straight. And I hope it's not me. Welcome, Bill. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Glad to have you. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to the first page here. Stefano asks about LiveLan. Is it possible to use acceleration hardware like streaming and recording? I don't know. Good question. I would suspect it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. Number of inputs. Diamond total inputs, 15 4K or 80 HD. Yeah, I think what they're referring to there, Dave, is cameras. But I guess it could be video. I've never gotten that high in either one of those categories. Maybe I probably ought to test that sometime. Well, you never know. There could be somebody still watching. I mean, I'm 66. In 95 years, I would be 161. It's possible. All right, Sam says, on the subject of preset bundles, I have an old laptop that I've used for football broadcasts, and I purchased a new laptop. Can I create a bundle and use it to set up the new laptop? I would think so. And more importantly, Jan would think so. The only thing that I think would be different is if you were trying to specify. Let's see if we can do that here. We've got a desktop capture we can bring up. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to go to performance, and you can see here I've got in use NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Ti with the high performance mode selected. So let's say your new laptop has got a better video card that's capable of using the high performance mode than your old laptop. I'm not sure how the preset bundle will affect your choices in these categories. My guess would be that you would take the higher the higher of the two, the newer laptop, and start out with a preset on that had all of these types, all of these settings in it, and then put that in a bundle, send it to the small laptop, and then added what you wanted to add. The old laptop, and add what you wanted to add there. I forgot to tell you about this. Show preview thumbnails when browsing NDI sources. I turned that off. Let me show you what it looks like when you turn it off. Add input, NDI, and generally this populates with NDI sources. Well, it does, but it doesn't populate with a thumbnail. It just tells you what they are. Interesting, huh? And I got to that in settings, performance. And it's just right there. And if I turn it back on, I have to reset vMix. So we're not going to turn it back on. So yeah, there we go. All righty, guys. Well, I'm pretty impressed with vMix 25. I am. Michael Graves, thank you, sir. Appreciate your input there. And absolutely agree on that one. Yeah, NDI latency, on the same local area network is going to be attuned to maybe 50 milliseconds. So, less than 2 frames of video. So whereas we were talking about not 2 frames of video, not 2 seconds, but, 6 to 15 seconds. Jan would assume that stuff like performance settings are kept out of preset bundles as it is a system-specific setting. Well, we can check that right now, I think. I think I did check it the other day. Oh, I can't check it right now because I'm using this PC. But I went back and forth between my Microsoft Surface tablet and this i7-8700 PC with the 2080 Ti in it. And, well, let's see if I've still got that bundle, if I can bring it up on the small laptop. I can't do anything with the big one, with the big, but I have saved this current setup right here. And let's see what happens when I bring it up. I mean, it can't possibly, want, when was this modified? That was modified the 22nd. Do we have this saved? Software and presets. No, doesn't look like it. I've saved it in a place. Well, I can save it right now. Oh, no, that's right. It takes, well, let's just save a bundle and see what happens. All right, so I'm going to save as a bundle. I'm going to put it in Dropbox, in my vMix. Oh, there's one called vMix settings. Well, let's try that. Maybe I've already done that. Nope. Okay, so we'll put it in vMix settings. And we'll just call it today, original name. And we'll save it. And it said, oh, this is interesting. Let's see, can we, nope, can't cut over to that. Anyway, it says this preset bundle will contain the following files. Check to make sure you have enough disk space before continuing. And it gives me all 82 files, 424.27 megabytes. So I'm going to save that. And it's got a little thing. Can we show you that at least? Nope. So now it says vMix not responding. So you may or may not be able to hear me. So there we go. Now it's saved. And now it's going to upload that file to Dropbox. And by the way, what happened a second ago? Did you notice something happening a second ago when it said vMix not responding? Disappointed that LiveLan is not an additional stream. You mean like a 4th stream? Okay, KMR says, we still hear you, stream never flinched. Good. Thank you, Don. Yep. All right. So Jan is curious to find out exactly what settings are included in the preset bundle. He doubts that it includes shortcuts, as those are likely to differ based on hardware. Well, I can answer that question as soon as this uploads. Let's see, what do we need to... Still uploading. It says it's going to take 5 minutes. What is it uploading? Huh. Well, it did 31 minutes ago. Added that file. So where is it? It's in a Dropbox folder called My Desktop. Well, let's see. Dropbox. Do we have something called My Desktop? No, I didn't think so. Well, we'll just keep on. Maybe we can do this before the show ends. Yep, I think it's a good idea, Michael. Living Waters would like the 4th stream. Currently, we're sending 3 to the web, so we wouldn't have 1 to stream locally. Yeah, that's a situation where I think the vMix guys would say, you know, it's time to bail to restream, because that's what they do. And then you can send 1 high-quality stream to restream and have them divide it up and send it to your 3 destinations. And KMR says the issue, well, let me put it up here. With the 4th stream, that most RTX cards can only encode 3 streams at once. Well, yeah, and it's, you know, one of the beauties of vMix is there are a bunch of different ways of doing the same thing. Here today, I used the hardware encoder to stream to Facebook, YouTube, LiveLan, and I also used it for the recording. But the first 3, I just used 1 instance of the hardware encoder because all my specs were the same, and I told vMix, you know, for the 2nd and 3rd ones, use what we did for the 1st one. So I really only used 2 instances of the hardware encoder. But I get what you're talking about. And supposedly there's a hack where you can hack the RTX cards. So Dave and I did that a while back. I don't know if that's still a going thing or not. And yeah, and Jan's got a great idea here. Just use another PC. And you know, if you've got a PC, it doesn't have to be super fast. You can either use the $60 version, vMix HD, vMix Basic HD, I think is what it is, and that will do that very, very easily. You don't need to set up anything fancy. In fact, it could probably be a pretty basic PC, especially if, say, maybe you were just, you know, using it to stream to 1 or 2 different destinations. George Vick, good to see you. Glad to have you. They use Mist Server, cheaper than Restream, and way more versatility. And that's one of the things that I think you have to balance too, which is things like Restream do a lot of work for you and have a lot of things baked in, whereas Miss Server may be something that you have to know a little bit more about in order to set up, in order to take the advantages of having the versatility and the savings in price. So Living Waters is currently sending it to an in-house via RF by way of a Thor Pettit modulator. I can't even spell modulator. All right, so over on my laptop, I have, do we have desktop capture here on the laptop? Hang on a second, because I can show you what I'm doing. vMix desktop capture, there it is. Look at that. How about that? Settings. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can go to add input, NDI desktop capture, Tom Surface, vMix 1. See if that's it. Nope. Bear with me just one second. Nope, not that one. Hold on. Apparently I have turned off the, the thumbnails in NDI, so now I can't see. So let's see. Well, let's just go ahead and open that. Did that do anything? Yes, it did. Okay. It's downloading it. Display 1. That might be it. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is my laptop, and I am importing this file called Today, which is a vMix preset file. And apparently I'm still downloading it. And so vMix says you can't use it yet. It's being used by something else. Well, let's make sure it's there. So we'll go to Dropbox, we'll go to vMix settings, and it is there, and it has size to it. So let's try again. So we're going to open. We'll go to Dropbox. We'll go to vMix settings, Today, open. Let's see what happens. Ah, there we go. There's all our choices. So let's take them all. And that's going to take a little while. Would you like to change the preset? Sure. Basically, it's the difference between 50 frames a second and, 60 frames a second and 30 frames a second. All right, so while that's going for just a second, let's add a layer here. Bear with me. No waves license found. Okay, that's because I'm using the NS1 filter, but I don't use it on my laptop. Let's do that, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this. How about that? There we go. I'm happy now. I hate not being part of the action. So we're loading this preset, and in vMix on the main production PC, it takes a minute and a half to load this preset. So my guess is on this laptop, which is smaller and less powerful, it's going to take a little while longer. So let's we'll come back to that in just a second. Welcome, Blue Post Media. Glad to have you. Oh, that's a good question. I've just sent some, so we'll find out the answer to that question in just a second. That makes sense. Welcome, Barbara. Glad to have you. Raphael, welcome. Let's see. Hi, Tom. Greetings. When does vMix 25 officially ready? Do you have to pay if you have vMix Pro? We don't know when vMix 25 will officially be released. Traditionally, in the past, it's been about 3 months from the public beta to the official release. If you're on vMix 24 already and your license is newer than January 1st, 2020, then you can update from 24 to 25 for free. If your license is older than January 1st, 2020, you might have to pay $60 to update. I have a feeling sometimes people are grandfathered in without it being official. But it's only $60. So, save $1 a week, and in 2 months you'll have it. All right, let's see. I've got the laptop going here. So let's see if we can bring the laptop in. Tom's Surface. There it is right there. And for some reason, we're getting live video here. That's interesting. How in the world are we getting live video? We notice right here, right here, that the GPU is overloaded. GPU memory is 94%. Render time is 300 milliseconds. Total CPU is 51%. Well, let's see what settings say. And I'd love to know how it's getting that video. Huh. All right, it's a little slow to respond on settings, but it does. Okay, there we go, settings. And let's look at performance. And it does shift to the current graphics card, and it doesn't use high performance mode, and it does show a preview of thumbnails when browsing NDI sources. So it didn't keep the settings from my PC in the performance tab. Let's look at the options tab. Well, the options should be the same because I generally like to have them all the same anyway. What about the audio outputs tab? Yeah, this is the outputs on my laptop. Well, that would make sense because these are the options that are available. Let's see how it handled let's turn that off for just a second. So we've got main shot, desktop capture, and comparing that. Obviously, the camera is not there, but it doesn't say offline. It just has a blank for the camera. But it appears to be functioning because it's showing audio, even though there's not audio present. The clock is working because it's a clock. The microphone's offline. The bird dog is still connecting. That's pretty amazing. Looks like the calls are still there. If we go to vMix call, yep, calls are still there. My virtual set's still there. Yep. I'm not sure how it's getting video, though. That's really interesting. Oh, well, it's an NDI source, and this PC is connected to the same local area network, so that's no surprise. Okay, let's see. What else would we like to check? We'll come back to that. Welcome, Rafa. Glad to have you. Hello, Kenny. Glad to have you too. Is 25 only for 4K and Pro? No. Anybody that has an active vMix license, probably you would need vMix 24. But if it's HD or even basic HD, it should work. Yep. Does vMix 25 finally include Luke's Mrs. feature? Don't know what that is. So we can assume that system-specific settings are left out of the preset bundle. Yeah, that's a disappointment to me. That's a disappointment to me. But let's see. Let's save this as something else on the laptop. So we're going to save this as a bundle, and we'll call it Today Plus One. And we have opportunity. It's 424, so we're going to save it. And it's saving the preset bundle. Remember, this is on my low power laptop. And it's working. And it's still working. And let's see. And it's done. Oh, the vMix desktop capture. Oh, no, that wouldn't do anything, would it? Okay. Today's zip, that's not the one we want. Should be one that's syncing right now. Today plus one, uploading. It's uploading 16 out of 429. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. What I want to do, Jan, I can't do it while we're here, but I want to load this preset that I saved on the laptop that came from this desktop. I want to load it back on the desktop and see what settings. Yeah, I didn't change any settings, so it'll probably be the same. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Be asking a lot of an Intel GPU to run both vMix locally and screen capture via NDI to the other vMix. Yeah, it would. You have Microsoft on the horn. They ask why. At least I didn't throw it, you know. Oh, Dave, that's a good idea. Let's check shortcuts. Well, can we check them right here? Yeah, let's check shortcuts. All right, so let's get rid of that. And we want to go up here to shortcuts. And do we see a lot of shortcuts that are related to like movement of cameras and stuff? Yep, there we go. PTZ move stop. So even though, you know, are shortcuts settings or are they not settings? They're not specific to the hardware. They're specific, well, but they are specific to the hardware. They're specific to audio sources on the hardware. Anyway, they're there. Good point, Dave. Good point. But Jan's not happy. And Michael would expect the host system to ignore systems that are simply not relevant. Well, relevant, Michael, is subjective. What's relevant to you may be irrelevant to me. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. How are we doing on upload here? 2 more minutes. Well, we're not going to be able to show that live anyway. We're not going to be able to show that live anyway. Well, I think we're about exhausted. my camera cradle just died. The battery ran out. And my GPU is overloaded on my laptop. So I don't think we've broken anything permanently, but we'll just, we'll have to see what survives. But this has been very interesting. Very interesting. Much more than I expected. And I appreciate you guys kind of hanging out with me this afternoon. And Jan, of course, has another comment here. We got to get his comment in. He would hate to have a preset bundle mess up his control panels. Well, you just have to decide what's relevant. Yeah. What's relevant to me and relevant to you, right? Right? That's right. Once again, we're trying to blow it up. It's been so long since we've had a good beta to play with, or any kind of beta to play with, to explore and to dive in and to test and to play. And you know, if I were Martin Sinclair, I'm not, but if I were, what's the best way to put this? I would appreciate some idiot like Tom Sinclair going in and doing stupid things with his software. On one hand, I'd be offended. My personality was, I'd be offended. How dare you try to do something like that to my software? But on the other hand, Martin, being the salt of the earth, humble human being that he is, after he got over the what part, would say, okay, what can we learn from this? You know, we need to be a little bit more specific here. We need to be more bulletproof here. We need to lock this down and unlock this, and you know, those kinds of things. And that's what betas are for, are to see, you know, how does a beta work in the real life? For example, Jan, you know, you need to get that beta and go see how it's going to mess up your control panels. Obviously, save your copies of everything in advance. Oh, sorry. I'm boring myself now. Yeah, it looks like our preset loaded and it's now downloading to this PC from the other PC. So I'll try it after we get off the air, and if it's anything interesting, I'll let you know. But yeah, so that's it. Oh, before we get off, I want to just pop over for a second to Facebook and apologize for not seeing these comments sooner. Let's see. We got Edie is here from France, and Rick, Charlie Helms, David James, Gert Unger, Ted Langdale, Guy Cochran, Rich Tamayo, Ed Griswold. Ed says, careful, Tom, don't cross the streams. Yada Wadaski, Leon Van Wiesenbeek, Jason Burdine, Urban C, Tom Jones. Yeah, well, sorry about that. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry I missed you. But glad to have you. And I wish Facebook would allow us to glean these comments like we used to in vMix. What do you call that? vMix Social. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, we're good. We're good. Excuses, excuses. I mean, what are you doing between, say, 3 and 5 a.m.? I mean, really? Alberto, welcome. Glad to have you. I'd love it. I'll be here. I'll be here all day. We got a big order we're working on, so we will be here getting more gear and putting it together to make people happy all over the U.S. Well, anyway, it was great hanging out with you guys today. I look forward to our next opportunity to hang out together, and we'll see you next week. So next week, we can do all sorts of things like testing bundling versus the vMix Media Manager. I didn't know vMix had a media manager. I didn't even know it had a manager of any kind. Oh my gosh. I would have applied for the job, Dave. All right. Enough of this stuff. It was good to have you. Glad to have you. Sure was. And I'll see you next week.